dive into today's topic. I was watching a video from MC Ryder. I'm sure some of you follow MC Ryder. He always has some words of wisdom. The topic was about older riders and what are you too old to ride, or kind of what happens. He focused on reaction time, which is definitely a thing of concern. Now when it comes to riding though, the motorcycle does not care how old you are, how tall, short, fat, skinny, etc. And more importantly, the road give to what's less about you and who you are. They will give equal punishment to anyone that puts some bad inputs into a motorcycle and kisses the pavement. So I think he did a good job of bringing up some studies that were done over the years, past 20 years or so, about reaction times for senior citizens, scientific studies, and of course with the motorcycle, reaction time for stopping is the big one. And I'll put a link to his video there, so go check it out. I'm not going to verbatim say what he said, but he put some studies up there, and it shows without a doubt people that are older. I don't know what the age group was. I don't know if it was 60 or something like that. Going at 60 miles an hour, the reaction time was like 22 feet more the older rider needed to bring the vehicle to a stop after perceiving and then reacting to the obstacle. There's some other things in here too. I think a big one is balance. As you get older, you don't have the muscle tone again, there are a lot of 50-year-olds that are yoked and go to the gym and pump up and are very strong. Oh, hot. Okay. Yeah, it's 76 degrees here right now, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I wore a little bit too much. I didn't realize the sun was going to be this strong. Anyways, balance is a big one. Well, I have a friend that is 75 years old, has a Harley, lowrider, and he's pretty much calling it quits soon, because he's almost dropped the bike a couple times with his pillion on the back. He just doesn't have the leg strength or balance anymore that it used to. So he's definitely called it quits to the pillion. And for himself, I don't know, he doesn't know how many more years he has left in him, but the leg strength, balance is definitely a big problem, and that's why you see, I think as we get a little further into the future here, we're going to see a lot more trikes and three-wheeled vehicles on the road for the die-hard people that just can't give it up and they need that wind therapy. But two wheels is just not going to do it for them anymore. They're kind of risking themselves. Again, motorcycles don't care about who you are. They care about inputs, and if you can't balance the motorcycle at a stoplight or coming to a quick stop, that's a big problem. The other one is eyesight. So for me, as I've gotten older, night riding, or night driving even, I don't like doing. I can't see at night as well, and the glare from oncoming lights bothers me a lot more than it used to when I was younger. So I don't know, I think those are three things: reaction time, balance, strength would be kind of one category. Because if you're strong, and for example, if you come to a stop a little bit too fast and the front wheel is turned, that's going to cause the bike to want to go down if you do one of those jerky, grab a handful of front brake scenarios. But if you're young and you're strong, you might be able to muscle the bike and keep it up, depending on how heavy it is. But if you're older and you're not as strong, you're going to go down. And again, reaction time will play into that too. When you go down, how do you react to the fall? Older people are going to tend to react more slowly and not be able to get out of the way as fast, or maybe get their ankle or shin crushed under the bike, etc. So yeah, there's a lot to think about as you get older. And on this topic, I was talking to my friend Chris in the UK, and he brought up some interesting insights and actual legal matters in the UK. I don't know exactly the details in terms of how it works, but I know that they do have a system where you take lessons, or like an MSF type of course, but you're only allowed to ride a certain cc in the beginning. So I think in the UK, maybe some other countries, you're kind of forced to go with a starter bike or a beginner's bike. I did a video about that recently. I put it up in the corner talking about starter bike, yes or no. So then once you ride the starter bike for so long, then you can test up to the larger CCs. And he said the UK recently, there's been a lot of increases in insurance rates because of people like me. And what we mean about that is older people that have raised their kids, retired, or maybe not retired yet, but they have some extra money in the bank, and they've always wanted a motorcycle and never had time because of career and family, etc. And now they're 40 or 50 years old, and they're like, hey, it's time for a motorcycle, and I've got the coin, got the garage space, and then they go ahead and get a larger bike, and with not a lot of experience, and have caused, there's been quite a few fatalities of people that are 40, 50 years old that have very little experience on a motorcycle and get out there and crash, unfortunately. So back to the age related thing, it also has to do with experience, and the MC Rider definitely touched on that, and that's an important part of the equation. Is if you take a guy that's 60 years old that's been riding for a year and a half, and a guy that's 60 years old and has been riding for 45 years, gosh, the guy that's riding 45 years is going to have so much more experience and muscle memory and the ability to react, even if he's reacting slower, to stay more calm and kind of maybe get himself out of that situation. And also age, unrelated, it really depends on what kind of rider you are. If you're riding around like crazy speeds, going 20 to 35 miles over the posted speed limit, that's where the reaction time is really going to come into play and cause you some trouble. So, like in my case, I did have some experience, but it wasn't much. It was about I can't remember, about a year and a half, 2 years at most, when I was about 18, and then I took 30 years off. So again, I've said this before in my videos, I consider myself a newbie. I've been riding now consistently since I got this bike every week. So I've put 15,000 miles on this motorcycle in about 2 years. So I've picked up some skills along the way. I'm also a very cautious driver in the car and rider. So I mean, if you're a cautious and defensive driver, that usually transfers over to motorcycles as well. You're looking out for other people, you're always looking in your mirrors, watching where everyone is, where are they behind you and aside. You want to always know where people are. So I think the age thing again is it's a very big equation. There's a lot of factors that go into that. I've seen guys here riding around that are definitely in their 60s, if not late 50s, riding very big Harleys, no helmet, tank top, shorts, and just blaring down the street, going 65 miles an hour in a 40 or 35 mile an hour zone. So again, it's there's a lot of factors to take into that, but it's a good topic, interesting one, and I think one that, you know, people have to consider if they are new and they are in their 50s or 40s or 60s, and they say, hey, you know what, I want to get a motorcycle. By all means, go for it, but you got to take these things into consideration, that you're not, you know, a spring chicken anymore. And I would recommend that you go out and practice. You know, I think one of the most important things to practice is, you know, clutch and brake. Is getting super familiar with not only the weight of your bike, but how the bike reacts to the brake and how sensitive your brake is. Do you have, like this BMW has amazing brakes, Brembo brakes, double disc up front, and they are super powerful. And when I first got this bike, quite a few times I'd come to a stop, and I didn't grab a handful of brakes, but I squeezed it definitely a little bit too much, and, you know, I would jerk, you know, the forks would dive, and I would get jerked forward a little bit. But over the last 2 years, I know exactly how much pressure to put on these front brakes and rear brakes to get the bike to stop without throwing me off the bike. Clutch, again, you know where that sweet spot friction zone is, and just go into the parking lot and drive, you know, ride around on your bike, get used to it. That's important for everybody, but I think even more so for someone that's a new rider and they are older, and, you know, maybe you don't have that leg strength you used to have, or balance. You need to kind of prepare for that. So let me know in the comments below if you're an older rider. You know, what are there other issues that you've come across besides you know, reaction time, balance, and strength, and eyesight? Is there anything else that you think is something you have to overcome as a older rider? Let me know in the comments. And that's going to do it for today. Just a quick video about older riders. And, you know, I don't discourage anybody from starting to ride. I mean, we had, in my MSF class, I had 2 ladies, both in their 60s and both new riders, and they both passed and got their endorsement for riding motorcycles. So, you know, they take it easy, ride a bike that's comfortable, and they practice and build the skills. You know, gosh, motorcycling is amazing, and those of you that do it know it. It's just so wonderful to get out in the wind and the sunshine, and you know, it's a very solitary, almost meditative experience. So if you are older and considering it, I wouldn't discourage it, but just be aware that there are some limitations and things that you got to practice and build your skill set. So anyways, that's it. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you in the next one. Later.